Welcome back, everyone. Dirch here, and yeah, patch 2.0 is out, and I'm fucking pumped because this is amazing. In this video, I'm just going to go over the changelog, kind of talk about what I think about it, and then I'll be doing other videos showing all of these changes, kind of one at a time, character by character. Some of the characters might have to split in two, depending on the skills. But there's 130 new changes on top of the, whatever, 200 changes in the first one, and some of these changes are kind of multi-tiered, so this is really fucking big, really exciting. And yes, the skills happened. So before I dig into these, you guys are going to want to give a lot of feedback to Shadow, and that is great. Feedback makes all of this better. However, thousands and thousands of people have already watched Shadow's video, and there's a lot of feedback coming from a ton of people. And remember, Shadow, he's not doing this alone, but he's bearing a lot of the weight on his shoulders. So be nice about those. And what I mean by that is, don't just go to him and like complain about shit. Make sure you thank him for what he's done and then give him feedback, rather than just going, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like that. Because when those things happen, when you do something on this big of a scale, it can weigh down on someone. And we don't want to like burden Shadow with that or burn Shadow out on this. We really want to encourage him and help him and support him in doing this, because what he's doing is very hard, and there's a lot of weight on his shoulders supporting this up. So make sure when you guys give feedback, you do that. Don't be a fucking dick, okay? All right, let's move on. I'm just gonna go right in order here. So he reverted the Emperor back from the torrent, and buffed it to kind of a middle ground between both of them. I really like this because that was one of the few guns that did come off a little too strong, and this is why you don't have to bitch about him when you think something's OP, because this is a balancing patch and he is going to bring things back down. I love this because it's still going to be better than the Emperor was, but it's not going to be quite as broken as the torrent was there. Doll E-Tech ARs have E-Tech buff as well. They were left out. Made all E-Tech ARs have penetration. That's a cool little nice buff. Buff the bandit pistols. This is one I recommended. Gave them the same assault rifle buff. Sacrificed magazine size for other stats, so the reload, fire rate, and damage for less magazine. I think that's good because bandit pistols I thought were pretty ass. This one's really fucking cool, and this one's gonna probably be like 20 videos. Made gemstone weapons have their own rarity, with the benefits of one rarity higher, so more gun damage, accuracy, and magazine size. This is fucking cool. So, you know, if you really liked a certain, like my love for the Gatling gun, for example, now a gemstone or a citrine Gatling gun is just that much better, so it's kind of on par with legendaries, or even better than a lot of legendaries if it wasn't already, or, you know, just a muck-a-muck, or, you know, whatever your gun of choice is for your non-red text gun. Now that gun just got better. Buff the Torg barrel. I should also say, like, the gun damage, a lot of those buffs are like 10%. They're not massive, but they're enough to make a good difference. Buff the Torg barrel for assault rifles to do more damage, 30% for some, 40% for others. This is good. I complained about that in all of my good, the bad, and the ugly videos, that the fact that you couldn't crit with them was a bigger loss than the extra damage they had, so they needed more damage, and he did that. So we'll test out and see if those numbers are good enough. Made Torg barrel for assault rifles consider grenade damage. So this is really good for Axton players, and Axton players already liked those guns quite a bit, but now that they're grenade damage and they got a buff, these things are going to be really solid. So that's really exciting for Axton players. Also Krieg players. Made the Bearcat to be considered grenade damage. That's a big fucking win. Because he already buffed the Bearcat, but now it's going to be even better. So Grenadier Axtons, rejoice. Made the Carnage always spawn with 3 projectiles, and vertical accessory gives it massive recoil reduction and a bit of damage increase. So that's cool. That's a really good fix, actually, because that Carnage is one of those guns that always needed the vertical grip to be good, but instead of making it so vertical accessory we give it 5. Just damage increase and recoil reduction. So that's very interesting. Whoever came up with that one, Shadow, I don't know if that was you, but I like how you think. Made the Stalker have a Vladoff barrel with increased projectile speed. That's cool. I forgot what barrel it had. Was it a TDR barrel on it? But yeah, that's going to make that gun much better. Made Bandit plasma casters shoot like other plasma casters with the same stats. I'm definitely going to have to play with those. Slow the fire rate of bolt action snipers to balance them in normal and true Vault Hunter mode. I guess they're pretty OP in those other levels, so brought them down a little bit. And again, if he finds something that's a bit too strong, he's bringing it back down to where it needs to be. Next one's the Baru one. This was a suggestion from the man himself. Made the Ogre the other Vladoff barrel, so it's the non-spin barrel, and gives it a 10% damage buff. So you no longer have to have the wind-up with the Ogre. I'm really excited to play with this, and credit to Baru for pitching in. Some of those bigger guys have been quiet on this, so that's nice. And I may have made some, I think they were mainly private, but some of them might have slipped in public when I was complaining about bigger YouTubers and stuff not doing stuff with that, and I mentioned Baru's name, and I guess he has streamed it and he's given Shadow feedback, so in case I did say that stuff publicly, I'd like to make a correction. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Remove the 20% penalty on assault rifles to make them compete in endgame. I believe that's the critical hit one. I thought that was already in the last one. I guess I'll have to get clarification on that one. Remove the Tunguska's self-damage on the big radius. That's very cool. That's going to make that thing way more usable, and I think it's a fun launcher. The initial pellet can still hurt you, but the big blast cannot. Reverse the bonuses for Bandit and Torg sights. Buffs by accident. I didn't even know that was a thing. Indirectly buff the Gub as part of the Bandit pistol fix. That's very cool. Same thing with the Tinderbox, because Bandit pistols got better. The gun they were based on got better. It got better. Change the laser accessory. Wait. Change the laser accuracy accessory. God, that's hard to say. Of pistols to boost projectile speed by 40% instead of 20. Cool. Boosted the damage of the Hawkeye by 8%. So that's one he tweaked before, but it got a little further of a tweak. Boosted the damage of the Varuk by 10%. I think that's very cool. And the base damage of the Seeker by 30. He had the Seeker boosted in the other one, but it still wasn't quite enough, I think. Buff the actualizers reload speed and with a... Alright, let me just start over on that one. Buff the actualizers reload speed with an additional 30% more damage. I think that's just not greatly written, so it should be and an additional 30% more damage. Well, whatever, I'm nitpicking grammar here. I'm an asshole. Don't be that guy, Dirch, and don't be that guy, everyone listening. Anyways, Actualizer got better with reload speed and damage, and it's a cool SMG, so it should be pretty good now. Reverted back the changes made to the Volcano. Instead, it has a big splash radius with increased dot damage by 65%. I didn't even get around to testing that in the last patch yet, but this sounds cool. He gave me some samples of the big splash radius, so we'll see what this looks like. I'm kind of excited for that. Buff the Hellfire splash radius, tripled it. And it should be pretty good size now. And damage over time by 10%. That's very cool. Lifted up the damage penalty on the infection a bit. 200% upped in dot damage by 30%. We'll see what the infection looks like now. The TDR barrel and pistols now gives you reload speed instead of nothing. And it's a fair amount of reload speed. That's very cool. So that's all the guns. To me, the biggest thing is there's a citrine, but the other stuff is cool. I'm gonna take a sip of water here. Moving on to shields. Reverted the WTF shield back from the Big Thumper. Made the Big Thumper an actual legendary melee shield, and he replaced the pot of gold instead because Made the what the fuck shield not harm you anymore. Spawn an additional projectile from the original 3, have more damage and chance to spawn them. This sounds interesting and fun as fuck. I have some ideas for that already. Made the fabled tortoise slow you down less. That's cool. Made the love thumper not do friendly damage. Rejoice, everyone. Fucking rejoice. Relics, the only one was fix the UI, the movement speed relic. Class mods. Restored back the shock trooper to the original form. The bonuses weren't applying right or were kind of broken. Fixed most of the UI problems with skills, mostly on a bunch of gauge ones. Buffs the spy's cooldown by a lot. Salvador's beast class mode now boost ain't got time to bleed instead of just got real. Fixed the health passive on beast class mod to be multiplicative. That's good on all of those. Salvador's Titan class mod now boosts sexual Tyrannosaurus instead of out of bubblegum. I think that's something Chuck was talking about to kind of make that cooler. Then his legendary Titan now boosts ain't got time to bleed in sexual Tyrannosaurus instead of out of bubblegum and locked and loaded. I think those are some good choices to make the Titan now actually Titany. Zero's Survivor comm now boosts Innervate instead of Resurgence. I like that a lot. Innervate's very cool. And I don't think it was ever boosted by comm before, so that's interesting. I have some other ideas for Innervate. We'll get to that in the future. Not in this video. Fixed the health passive on Zero's Survivor mod to be multiplicative, like all of those. Made the legendary Reaper boost Boiling Blood instead of Blood Overdrive, and Salt the Wound instead of Thrill the Kill. I'd have to look at the Reaper comm to see what all that all means. I don't have it on the top of my head. Melee Crunch class mod boosts Salt the Wound instead of Bloodbath. Change Axton's Specialist class mod to boost Onslaught instead of Forbearance. I think that's a major fix. Change Punk class mod to boost Death from Above instead of Iconoclast. That's kind of cool, actually. I don't think we have a Death by Above boost, do we? I don't know. Tell me in the comments, everyone. And then change back Jill of all trades to the original state. So there's some things that have been reverted from the original one. That's cool. That they made some mistakes and things didn't work and they fixed. And keep that in mind when you're suggesting things. Like, if something's not right, it can change. This is not in stone. Now there are a bunch of loot drops and quest items. So Gold Golem has a rare chance to drop the Grog Nozzle. Gives a reason to farm him. Remove 2 heads from the warrior's loot pool to make it less crowded. This is huge. Crowded loot pools are a major problem. It looks like he's going after them. Actually, I'm not going to go through all these. I don't think I have anything to say on them. So you guys can read through the loots, the loot and the drops. Because I want to just get on with it. The character skills. This is one worth talking about. Reduce the cooldown on Scorn to 8 seconds. I'm pretty excited about this. We'll play with it. Some people thought this might be a little too much. It used to be 13. If it is, I'm sure you can change it to like 10 seconds or something in between. But one of the biggest problems with Scorn, it was slow and there wasn't any good way to fix the cooldown on it. Because if you, the only one was the melee comm and you didn't want, or the melee relic. And wearing a melee relic just to reduce Scorn seemed not good. Where Ruin, you can cool down it so many ways, you can do it so fast. So this is a good change. Return Krieg's Raving Retribution Rants. I'll do some videos just on that because people have been bitching about that for years, and now we can have Krieg rant in the full joy that we experienced when he first came out. Increase the base damage of Axton's turret by 20% and give it 20% more fire rate. So that turret is now going to kick some major ass. Sentry, replace burst fire with fire rate, 3% per point. That's very good, I think. Laser sight, it's 5% per point. In addition, it adds turret damage as well. So that gives you a reason to finally take laser sight. Remove the damage penalty from Scorched Earth. There's a 15% damage penalty if you pick Scorched Earth for the turrets, and that's just dumb. Now there's not. Crisis Management, replace the melee damage with damage reduction. Very good, I think. It's going to make Axton more tanky. Double Up, remove the turret penalty damage. Again, I didn't even know it was there until the other day with talking to Shadow and Damonite, and that's cool that that's gone. Impact, replaced melee damage with accuracy. That's one we talked about, and that's going to really help for you guys wanting to run Shotgun Axton. Overload, 5% per level, but it affects all gun types. Alright. So less mag per level, but it's for everything, so that should help Axton. Axton got the most changes, by the way. Battlefront, replace melee damage with critical hit damage. Axton didn't have many crit damages, so his damage is cranking up pretty fast here. Duty Calls, replaced fire rate with additional critical hit damage and changed gun damage to 10 per point. That's something we talked about in the video. So Duty Calls is still for non-elemental guns, but now the boost should be more meaningful. Ranger doubled, it's 2% per point. It used to be 1% per point, so that's worth it now. Especially, you know, at 10 out of 5, 20% per point on all those stats will make a big difference. Nuke, doubled the damage of the nuke and the fire dot by 5. Holy crap. Nuke's going to be legit. Preparation is now 4% shield capacity instead of 3. That's good. Last Ditch Effort changed gun damage to weapon swap speed, 12% per point. That's something we talked about. Forbearance, replace max health damage reduction, or replace max health with damage reduction. The Phalanx Shield, he did find that. Double the capacity of the Phalanx Shield. That should help a lot. Now on to Maya stuff. Mind's Eye replaced melee damage with accuracy, 5% per point. So at 10 out of 5, that's 50% accuracy boost. So Shotgun Maya, again, rejoice. But also just like, well, with Aaron's what he added in with the mashers, the skull masher, anything with a spread is going to make a big difference with that. So I'm quite excited for that. Helios procs after Rune Slag. Now, talking to some of the guys on this, I guess they couldn't change the animation. So the animation doesn't really, might not follow all that, but we'll play with that later. Blake Phoenix doubled the damage. That's good because that was weak still. Backdraft doubled the damage. I think that's good because it was still pretty weak. Rune buffed the damage and dots by 5 times, 500%. That's a big one because Rune still is. It was just a slag tool, but there's a shock and corrosive dot, and they didn't do shit. So when you add all those up together, Elemental Maya is now a thing. I mean, I made that video a while ago, like, is Maya really elemental? Because all of her elemental shit was so weak. Now you can really run an Elemental Maya. And I was talking about doing a subsequence little Eevee build. I think that's definitely going to happen now, because with those, that sounds pretty exciting. Bloody Revival removed assault rifle requirement for Kratos to fight for your life buff. I think that's pretty awesome. Light the Fuse, 100% damage buff in UVHM, but it's not going to change in the other modes. I think that's a good move. It was good in the other modes. UVHM, it just got weak. Hellfire Halitosis, 4 times damage buff. Check to see how OP this is. He made that really good, and that's going to be fun as hell to play with. That was such a cool skill, but it just wasn't good. Looks like that's it for Krieg. Not much for him. But, I mean, he's so good he didn't need much. onto the sale stuff. So Chuck got it with I'm the Juggernaut at 12% per point, and that should really help. Hard to Kill buffed regen to 0.2% per point. I think it was 0.1 or 0.15, I forget, but it's bigger now. And that's it for sale. So all that stuff we talked about, 2 of them went through, but it should help non-grog sale. Made of Sterner Stuff up damage reduction to 4% per point and melee damage to 6% per point. With that skill is kind of underwhelming, so that's good. More Pep doubled all stats. Excellent. Shockstorm doubled the radius. I think that's interesting. Wires Don't Talk up to 5% per point. It used to be 3%. I think that's a good number. So at max 55%, where Matching Elements is 75%. So it's still weaker, but it's a lot closer. And I think that's a damn good move. With Claws, up melee damage to 1.25 per stack. It'll read as 1.3, but that's a rounding thing. I forgot what the percent was before, but you know, if you're gonna make melee, and people liked it and people spoke they didn't want to change it to something else, and that's cool. So that just makes that build more viable. Critical Ascension decays at 3 seconds between stacks. It was 1 second per stack. Still starts decay after 6 seconds. So this one will be interesting to see where the balance is on it. There's a bunch of people talking about it in the thread already about how many stacks they were getting. My case on this was the really good 0 players can make Critical Ascension work, but the amount of 0 players that can really make CA work at a consistent rate, I think, was pretty low. So this should widen the gap for your average gamer to be able to use it. And then the really good players, it might be a little broken for them, but I think it was already kind of broken for them, so it might not be that big of a loss. All the other stuff still applies, the vendors, the ladders, the switching guns, so it just became easier to maintain it. All the other stuff is still there. It's just, I guess they played with getting rid of that and it just made it where you could easily, way too easy stack it. And this was a better compromise. So this is one I won't be surprised if that number gets tweaked. If, 3 seconds too high, maybe it's 2.5, maybe it's 2.75. Who knows the right value? So, if this is one you're playing with and it's too broken, keep in mind your skill level versus other people's, and, but give feedback on it. Just do it in a polite way. Kill confirmed. This is one I'm really happy about. Stacks instantly on scope. It was 2.5 seconds each time, and now it's less damage per point. So now this is a really good skill to get. So if you ADS, you just get more critical hit damage. I really like that. Resurgence is now 6% per point. Innervate upped health regen 1.2% per point. And Iron Hand, this one's been a little controversial right now. And this was one of my suggestions, but God, I have to go back and rewatch my video. Swap max health for damage reduction, same percentage. There's some people that are saying right now that by taking this, your shield isn't stripping with a chain lightning. So that's kind of an issue for melee players. For right now, if that happens, don't take it. And maybe at 2.1 or whatever, the next one, maybe that switches or changes. I think I said in the video that I was worried about that, but maybe that was just like in a comment or somewhere else. So there is some talk about this one. So again, don't freak out. Don't scream at anybody for this. If you're a melee player and it makes you mad, just, it's known and it's being looked at. And then a bunch of visuals. I'm going to do a whole separate video, or Dave's Pineapple did all those. And I should also say, on the character skills, a Dudney, I believe is how you say it, he did a lot of the actual, I guess, coding work on these, where kind of Shadow dictated the buffs. So a big thanks to him. He also worked with making it be able to be a hotfix, because that was a big challenge before. So he did a lot of hard work on that and was able to do a lot of magic to make all these happen. And you guys should all be excited, because this is, fuck, just talking about these buffs without showing any, it's like 25 minutes now. So I'm really excited for all this, and I'm going to do breakdowns. I'm going to go through a bunch of the characters, play with these stats. You know, Ashton got so much changed, I might have to do like 3 videos to break up his stats. But I'm really excited about all this. And I have a lot of videos to do. So stay tuned. I'm going to try to keep up with 2 a days. Maybe this weekend I'll get 3 a day because there's a lot to do. So as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you later. Bye.